Hello students, looking at current affairs for 8th Jan, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 16. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Centre plans 10% quota for the poor. So the Union Cabinet has approved a constitutional amendment bill to provide 10% reservation to the economically backward sections of general category. So already there is 50% reservation for SC, ST and OBC. Over and above that, now 10% reservation would be provided. The government says it will also cover those from Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Buddhist and other minority communities. So this reservation would be on the basis of annual salary. So those who have an annual salary of less than 8 lakh per year would be eligible for it. Those who possess less than 5 acres of land. So there are some such conditions placed who would be getting reservation in educational institutions and in jobs. So under Article 15 and 16 of the Constitution, there is a provision for reservation which can be provided. So it's actually articles are regarding prohibition of discrimination and providing equal opportunities, but then there's an exception to it on the basis of which reservation is provided. So the articles as such would be amended too. So that's the constitutional amendment bill. Also, you should know that there has been a cap of on reservation put. The cap is of 50%. You cannot have more than 50% reservation. This was 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court, 9-judge constitutional bench in the Indira Sohani case, the landmark case in 1992. It gave its ruling in which it capped reservation to 50%. Means there cannot be reservation more than 50%. So it read that clause 4 of Article 16 of the Constitution speaks of adequate representation and not proportionate representation. So that was what the Supreme Court observed and said that relaxation can be done in extraordinary situations, and while doing so extreme caution has to be exercised and a special case should be made out. So here the detail of this decision is given. 10% reservation. You can see the eligibility criteria given here. So those who own farmland below 5 acres or those who own a house measuring less than 1000 square feet. So the Indira Sohani case is detailed out here, you can see. So that is why amendment to the Constitution is required, because Constitution does not talk of reservation on the basis of economic criteria. Social and educational backwardness is what the Constitution speaks of. Also, you should understand that this is just the initiation of the process, just a few months before the general elections. It's May 2019 when general elections would be held. And for this bill, which has been approved by the cabinet, it will be introduced in the House, and it is expected to be introduced on the last day of the winter session. So again, next would be the budget session of the parliament, when the parliament would reconvene. And to pass this bill, what is required is that each house should pass it by absolute majority. That is 50% of total membership. Simple majority is 50% of present and voting. Those members who are present and are voting, even excluding those who are abstaining. Only those who vote out of that 50% should say yes. But then it's an absolute majority, not a simple majority. Then 50% of the total strength, total membership of the house should vote. So that is what absolute majority is. So for this bill, which is a constitutional amendment bill, it to be passed. An ordinary bill is passed by simple majority, but this is a constitutional amendment bill which will require absolute majority. Absolute majority plus 2/3. So it's a special majority actually. Absolute majority plus 2/3 of present and voting. So it should approve it. So both conditions should satisfy. That is called the special majority. And in both the houses. And there is no provision for joint sitting also. Also, you should know that the criteria which has been given for reservation, for this extra 10% reservation in India, it is said household having less than 8 lakh income a year, it is at least 95% of the population of India which earns less than this. So this is a huge number. Then even for second criteria, agricultural land of less than 5 acres, 85% of land holdings in India fall in this category. So these are the facts. 86%. Then even having a house smaller than 1000 square feet, at least 80% households in India have houses smaller than 500 square feet, not just 1000. The fourth criteria, have a residential plot smaller than 100 yards in a municipality. For this, data is not available. There is a fifth criteria to have a residential plot of less than 200 yards in non-notified municipality. So these are the 5 criteria on the basis of which reservation is being proposed, and you should understand that almost the entire population is becoming eligible for reservation, and the reservation provided is only 10% above what is presently allowed. That is, total would go to 60%. So it's almost everyone feeling that they would come under reservation. But if everybody comes under reservation, then there is no meaning of reservation actually. Then it becomes by merit again. So if we reach the 100% mark, we'll go back to merit playing a factor, because within reservation too it is merit on the basis of which you would be getting a seat. Then next is, now this is again regarding the Indira Sawhney case, the landmark case of 1993. You should know the three main rulings which it gave, the three main things which are to be upheld. It's a 9-judge constitutional bench which gave this ruling. So this is, the reservation should not exceed 50%. Second is, the creamy layer from backward classes should be excluded, and there should be no reservation in promotions. So these are the three main provisions. Then next is, Tamil Nadu minister gets jail term for rioting. So this is Tamil Nadu's Youth Welfare and Sports Development Minister P. Balakrishna Reddy, who along with 15 others has been convicted and sentenced by a special court to 3 years imprisonment in a case of unlawful assembly and rioting in 1998 in Bhagalpur village. So he resigned from the cabinet too in Tamil Nadu. In 1998 actually, over 150 villagers had gathered in front of Bhagalpur police station and indulged in rioting, protesting against police inaction in removing illicit barracks units in the area. So this resulted in rioting, and public transport buses were damaged, set on fire, police vehicles were damaged, set on fire. So this resulted in finally conviction coming forth in 2019. So almost after 20 years. So many of the accused have also died in the case, and the case actually was transferred recently to a special court in Chennai that deals with cases related to elected representatives. So when the Supreme Court has directed that cases related to elected representatives should be hastened and should be wrapped up quickly, so that is why this 20-year-old case finally sees conviction. Then next is, India secures extradition of bookie. So this is an alleged bookie, Sanjeev Chawla. So he is also in UK, and India has got another legal victory in UK as a judge of Westminster's Magistrates Court here has allowed extradition of this alleged bookie. The case, as in the case of Vijay Mallya, we had seen in December 2018 how Vijay Mallya's extradition also has been approved by the UK court, and it has been sent to the Home Secretary for final decision. So here also the case of Sanjeev Chawla, also extradition case, has been referred to Home Secretary Sajid Javid. So he will take the final call. Actually, earlier the verdict given was that he should not be extradited because there were concerns raised over conditions in Tihar jail. But now they have been overruled, and both Vijay Mallya has also been approved to be extradited as well as Sanjeev Chawla. What would be considered by the Home Secretary while giving his approval is he would consider whether there is any possibility of death penalty being applied on the extradited person, or will the extradition result in a further extradition to a third country. So these aspects are looked into by the Home Secretary. Then next is, Kerala High Court sets 7-day notice period for hartals and strikes. So the Kerala High Court has ruled that a 7-day notice period should be there. Should be given by political parties or individuals who call for hartal or general strike. So the notice period as such, it says, would enable citizens to approach the court with the objections, and the legality of the strike call can be examined. So that would be the benefit. It will also provide an opportunity for the state to safeguard the interest of the citizens. Once it is known beforehand, at least a week in advance, that there is going to be a strike or a hartal. So the Kerala High Court says that fundamental right of the citizens to life and livelihood is much, much pricier. It far outweighs the fundamental right of people to call for strikes and hartals. Then next is, Nadu demands 3,715 crore Polavaram dues from centre. So this is regarding the Polavaram project. We have been discussing it for months and more than a year now. So this Polavaram project actually, which is Andhra Pradesh government, Chandrababu Naidu's pet project. So he has demanded the central government to release 3,715 crore as due for this project at the earliest. So it says the cost as such of the project is around 58,000 crore as per revised estimates. So this is including the cost of relief and rehabilitation. Recently, the Polavaram project has been in news because it has one of the events here has resulted in it being included in Guinness Book of World Record. So this is the engineering company here, Navayug Engineering Company Limited, which is working on the on a part of the Polavaram multipurpose irrigation site. It used highest usage of acreage was done by it within 24 hours. That is 32,315.5 cubic meters of concrete used within 24 hours. So this also highlights the pace at which work is going on here. So this is the detail here you can see regarding the Polavaram project. So here these are the two rivers, Godavari and Krishna river, which will be linked by this Polavaram canal, you can see. So from Pattisima here on Godavari river. So a lift irrigation project, it interlinks Godavari and Krishna. So there are concerns, of course it would be beneficial, to the farmers in the Krishna Delta. So they would get irrigation facilities, but then the concerns are also there. Even the drinking water would be provided to the adjoining areas here. But then the concerns are the cost involved and also the environmental cost involved, because it would be harmful to environment. To interlinking of rivers results in ecological loss. There will be inundation in the regions here. It may affect the aquatic life also. So it may alter the water table. It may cause damage. There can be fear of flooding in future also. So these are some of the concerns as such. So this is the region in Andhra Pradesh where this project lies. Then next is stretch of Periyar turns rust red emits bubbles. So this is regarding the Periyar river of Kerala. It flows through the industrial zone of Elur-Edayar, and presently it has turned rust red. So it is also erupting bubbles in some areas. Also this color has turned turbid bronze brown as the day progressed. So Pollution Control Board of Elur has sent its team to conduct a full day's inspection here of all possible industries that could have caused this pollution, but they still could not find the source of this problem. So here you can see in Kerala, this is the prominent Periyar river here, and in some sections such bubbles and rust red color has been observed. It has been earlier too that similar incident had been reported. Then next is animals begin to arrive at Wayanad Sanctuary. So you see here actually this news has been picked up so that you know which sanctuary is located in which state, because such questions are also asked in prelims. So Wayanad Sanctuary, Wildlife Sanctuary is here located in the Nilgiri biosphere. So you can see its location is shown here. So here, animals are arriving here in Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary from Bandipur. You can see Bandipur and Nagarhole National Parks in Karnataka and Mudumalai National Park of Tamil Nadu. So they are arriving here in search of food and water. So Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary itself is in Kerala. Then next is Centre OK Citizenship Bill. So a joint parliamentary committee was looking into the controversial Citizenship Amendment Bill of 2016. We had discussed this quite often now. So this is a bill which is seeking to grant citizenship to 6 religious minorities: Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, Parsis, Christians and Buddhists. So these 6 religious minorities from the 3 countries, Muslim majority countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, who are, if they are persecuted minorities there and they have come to India before 2014, then they would be granted easy citizenship. So that's what it seeks to achieve. So here this bill has actually resulted in controversy and protests in Assam. Assam is ruled by BJP, but then in Assam there is the Assam Accord being implemented, Assam Accord of 1985, and illegal migrants as such are being weeded out. They are seeing the NRC exercise, the National Register of Citizens being updated, and for that, to weeding out illegal migrants, the cutoff date is March 1971. But then according to this bill, once it becomes an act, the cutoff date is of 2014. So many illegal migrants, Hindu migrants from Bangladesh, would actually be eligible for citizenship once this bill is put into effect. So that would nullify the Assam Accord. It would, drastically go against the objective or the principle of Assam Accord. So that is why in Assam there are protests going on against this bill. So that is detailed out here, you can see. So Parliamentary Committee made several visits here to the state of Assam to hear regarding the objections to the bill, and you can see the details given here. Then next is Citizenship Bill. AGP quits Assam coalition. So the same news, Assam Citizenship Amendment Bill, since it has been approved by the Joint Parliamentary Committee, it submitted its report in Parliament. The ally of BJP in Assam, which is part of the ruling coalition to Assam Gana Parishad, has decided to snap its 2-year-old alliance with BJP. But this is not going to alter the government in Assam, because the other allies which BJP has with itself are enough to have the majority in the assembly. So it's 126-member Legislative Assembly of Assam. So to form the government, you need at least 50% seats. So out of 126, at least you should have a little more than 50%. So that is 126. Half of it is 63. So at least one more than that. So that is 64. So majority mark is 64. So the alliance, as such, ruling alliance, has 73 legislators. So BJP has 61 and its other ally 12. So it is comfortable and is having the 50% mark even after Assam Gana Parishad leaves the alliance. So it is leaving on the same grounds that Citizenship Amendment Bill is going against the provisions of Assam Accord. Then next is leprosy no longer a ground for divorce. So the Lok Sabha has passed Personal Laws Amendment Bill. So this is to remove leprosy as a ground for divorce. So the bill says that this is a discriminatory provision which is found in various laws of the country. Right? For a disease, leprosy is actually a disease. It's not a disorder. It's not a condition, and it is now curable too. So the 5 acts which are sought to be amended by this Personal Laws Amendment Bill are Divorce Act of 1869, Dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act of 1939, Special Marriage of 1954, Hindu Marriage Act of 1955, and Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956. So all these are having provisions related to marriage, divorce, and separation of Hindu and Muslim couples, in which there has been provision that leprosy can be a ground for seeking divorce or separation from the spouse. So this will be removed now. So you should know about the disease too. It's a bacterial disease, leprosy. It's the world's oldest recorded disease. It was well recognized in the civilizations of ancient India, China, and Egypt. So Hansen, it's also called Hansen's disease. It was discovered by Hansen, the cause as such of the disease. So January 27 is also observed as World Leprosy Day. So this is Hansen's disease. It's caused by Mycobacterium leprae. So it infects the skin and the peripheral nervous system. So nerves which are there all through our body. So they pass the information from brain to all the parts of the body and from all parts of the body to the brain too. So peripheral nerves are there near the extremities, like in the hands and the foot. So, so those are the peripheral nerves. So here these are affected. The skin is affected in Mycobacterium leprae. So because of this, there is lack of pain sensation and disfigurement of skin and bones, twisting of limbs, etc. is also seen in leprosy. But then now presently multi-drug therapy is available and the disease is completely curable. So here you can see there are said to be around 119 provisions across various acts of central government as well as state governments. Presently the amendment which is being done is to central government acts, but there are even state governments act which continue to discriminate against people affected by leprosy. So the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled Persons has taken note of this, and now we are seeing the government, central government has initiated action, and an amendment bill has also been initiated. It has been passed in Lok Sabha. So this is the detail given here regarding leprosy too, and the laws which discriminate. The specific sections of each of these acts is also mentioned here, including even some state acts also, which put restrictions on patients with people with leprosy. Like here you can see they are barred from contesting civic elections in Orissa. In Rajasthan, again they are barred from contesting elections for the post of Panch or for any other member of any other institution too. Then next is Supreme Court notice to Election Commission on VVPAT verification. So the Supreme Court has directed the Election Commission to respond to a petition that the counts of EVM and VVPAT units should be cross-verified in at least 30% randomly chosen polling stations in each Assembly and Lok Sabha constituency. So this is what a petition has been demanding. So Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission to respond to this. So actually it has been seen that in the present elections which have been held in Assembly elections, less than 1% of polling stations in each constituency were cross-verified through VVPAT. So first of all, you should understand what is VVPAT 2. It stands for Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. So whenever you put in your vote on the EVM, electronic voting machine, paper audit comes, means a paper print comes in this unit which is attached to the EVM, VVPAT units attached to the EVM, and they give the detail of the constituency, the booth, and the candidate for which you have voted. So that detail is shown here. So voter can verify whether his vote has been correctly recorded or not, and that roll is not given as a printout to the voter. It rolls in again. So that entire trail is kept. So voter verifies it, and it's a trail which is kept. So later the Election Commission makes an audit of it. It rechecks it. So this verification, cross verification which is done, this is done actually on a very minuscule proportion of the votes. So that is being questioned in this petition in the Supreme Court. It is demanding at least 30% randomly chosen polling stations should have this cross verification done. So it was in 2013 that Supreme Court had held that it was imperative that elections held through EVMs should have VVPAT also, so that voters can satisfy themselves that their vote has been accurately recorded. So this is regarding this case. Here you can see the detail of VVPAT is shown here. The next is Supreme Court shocked as Section 66A of IT Act is still invoked. So Section 66A of Information Technology Act has been struck down by the Supreme Court in the Shreya Singhal case. So it was seen to be violating Article 19 and 21 of the Constitution, right to free speech and right to life. So the entire provision, Section 66A, was struck down. The judgment said that this actually is extinct. This section remains extinct because it is violating right to free speech. So this was the March 2015 judgment of the Supreme Court. But now a petition has been filed, and this petition in the Supreme Court is saying that authorities are still booking people under this provision of IT Act. So the Supreme Court has taken very stern view on this. It says strict action would follow if these claims in the petition come out to be true. The government has been asked to respond to the petition in 4 weeks. So Section 66A actually restricts free expression online, and it is said that there are FIRs registered by police on the basis of this section, which is no longer applicable. The petition says that it is struck down not just from 2015 when the Supreme Court struck it down, but Section 66A is extinct from the very date of its insertion into IT Act in 2009. So that is what this petition is demanding action on. So here you can see the details of Section 66A is provided. So in 2012 was when the first PIL file was filed on this in the Supreme Court. So these were two girls who were booked under Section 66A. These two girls from Palghar in Thane district in Maharashtra, because one of them had posted a comment against the shutdown of Mumbai following Shiv Sena leader Bal Thackeray's death, and the other had liked it. So on the basis of this, they were actually detained. So this arrest actually had resulted in huge controversy, and in 2013, you can see Apex Court had advisory that a person accused of posting objectionable contents on social networking sites cannot be arrested without police getting permission from senior officers. So this was an advisory given by Supreme Court, and finally in 2015, it gave its ruling in which it struck down this Section 66A of IT Act. Then next is government says GDP to grow at 7.2% for financial year 2019. So government has projected GDP growth for full year 2018-19 to come at 7.2%. So the second half of the year, it is said that the growth has significantly slowed down. According to this, means first half detail is there. 7.6% was the GDP growth in the first half of the year. So for full year, if it is 7.2%, means expectation is for the second half of this financial year, growth is expected to end at 6.8%. So the full year estimate, the projection which is being done by the government, is also lower than the RBI's forecast. RBI has forecast a 7.4% growth for the present financial year, while government says it would be 7.2%. The nominal GDP is also estimated at 12.3%. So here you can see the quarter end growth as such over the half yearly period is shown here from September 2016 to September 2018. And this is the year-on-year GDP growth shown. So, what is forecast for 2018-19 is 7.2% GDP growth. And this is the difference between nominal and real GDP. So, nominal GDP measures the value of national output at current prices. Here, no adjustment for inflation is made. Real GDP is adjusted for inflation. So, it is at constant prices. So, that's the main difference. Then next is SEBI takes steps to bring uniformity in commodity derivatives segment. So commodity derivatives, we have discussed it on 5th Jan also in detail. So you should already know about commodity derivatives. So now SEBI is the regulator for both commodity derivatives as well as the equities, the securities. So what happens is that in securities, in stocks, actually there is uniformity. But then in commodity derivatives, there are different types of commodities and each one of them have their distinct characteristics, and there are different commodity derivative exchanges which have developed all across the country, and each one of them expertises in one aspect. So what has SEBI decided on, because it is the regulator for both now, the securities as well as commodity derivatives, so it has overtaken from Forward Market Commission. So Forward Market Commission is no longer there, it has been merged with SEBI. So SEBI has decided that it would have regular meetings with the chief regulatory officers of all 6 commodity derivative exchanges which offer this. So once every quarter there will be a meeting, and this would be to discuss regulatory and compliance matters. So to enhance uniformity amongst the exchanges, commodity exchanges. It says unlike the equity segment with 2 main bourses, BSE and NSE, and identical product offerings, commodity derivative segment is quite diversified, with each exchange having created a niche in certain category of commodities. So this is what has been announced now. So it was 3 years ago, you can see, when commodity derivatives came under the regulatory purview of SEBI. Before that, it was Forward Markets Commission which regulated it. So this is commodity derivative definition which we have already done. And this is, you can see how Forward Markets Commission was merged with SEBI. Then next is SR Global repays 12,000 crore loans. So SR Global Funds Limited, which is the holding company for SR Group of companies, has repaid a debt of 12,000 crore to its various Indian and foreign lenders. So this is in addition to the 30,000 crore which it has repaid in August 2017 to various lenders. So here you can see loans are being repaid. SR companies, one of the loans are also before the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, in front of the NCLT under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code process. So this is a debt of 44,000 crores on which the case is going on. So this is related to SR Steel India. So remaining companies, you can see 12,000 crore, and here this debt which has been repaid is to a consortium of banks, including the banks which are here, that is 6,300 crores has been repaid to ICICI Bank, Axis Bank and Standard Chartered Bank. So these are the banks involved. So the entire loan which it had taken of 31,500 crore as such has been repaid to these banks. So the loans have been provided to fund its had actually been provided by the banks to fund its capital expenditure program between 2008 and 2014. But then it had become a non-performing asset, and now you are seeing it is being resolved as such. So at the group level, Ruyas, who own the SR group, they have undertaken the deleveraging program. So they are selling off the assets and making provisions to repay the debt, and they have repaid total of 1,37,000 crore of debt. So how debts are being repaid this is a prominent example of this here. So it was in 2017 that SR oil sale to a consortium resulted in around 86,000 crore being been derived, which was used to repay a huge amount of this debt. So here you can see, with respect to this 44,000 crore debt, which is before the NCLT2 under the IBC process, we have been seeing how there have been companies which have been offering for this as such. So ArcelorMittal had made a bid for cash repayment of 42,000 crore of the debt, but then SR Group subsidiary has separately offered 54,389 crores for full repayment to secured lenders and operational creditors. So SR Global itself is trying to get back SR Steel 2 now, which had actually gone before National Company Law Tribunal under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Court process. So here the details are provided of this entire case. Then next is rupees 40,000 crore expected from OLP 2 auctions. So this is regarding open acreage licensing policy. So OALP had been initiated. The second phase as such will wrap up in March 2019, and it is expected to give the government around 40,000 crore as such for the 14 blocks which it has put up for auction for oil and gas. So here you can see in 2018, 60,000 crore was committed to exploration of oil and gas in 55 blocks. So now 14 blocks have been offered in OLP 2 bid rounds. So this is an area of around 29,333 square kilometer which have put up for bidding, which closes on March 12, 2019. Also third OLP is also planned. So since 2014, Center has held 2 auctions of discovered small fields also, and 2 auctions under OLP. So both are important, you should know about them. OLP you should understand as comparison to NELP, New Exploration and Licensing Policy. So what open acreage licensing policy calls for is that exploration company itself can express its interest in any block at any time. So data for these blocks are available to the bidders, so they can decide which block do they want to bid for and at what time. So it's open that way. So it permits every company to study and specialize in certain geographies, making the entire country open for exploration as such. So it gives operators flexibility in block location, size, and even project financing. So here you can see the details about this auctioning being done under open acreage policy. So it allows price and marketing freedom. Winner as such under open acreage is decided on the basis of revenue share offered to government. So that's the criteria. You can decide the price, you can have the marketing the way you want. What would you provide to the government? The revenue share is what decides the winner. Then this is regarding the bidding process which has been initiated for discovered small fields. So there have been small fields of oil and gas which have been discovered by ONGC and Oil India, the PSUs, but then they have not been explored because when they have not been explored because the time when they were discovered, they were not economically viable then to be explored. So now the government wants them to be put on bidding too. So 60 of such discovered small fields of ONGC and Oil India went under the hammer, which had around 195 metric tons of hydrocarbon held in them. So it was a revenue sharing model which was used. Bidders had to quote the revenue that they will share with the government to win the bid. Then the last news item is gas hydrates produced under space conditions. So this is researchers from IIT Madras who have experimentally shown that methane and carbon dioxide can exist as gas hydrates at temperature and pressure seen in interstellar atmosphere. So gas hydrate is actually a gas such as methane gas which is trapped in well-defined cages of water molecules. So they become a crystalline solid here. So in terrestrial conditions too, gas hydrates are formed naturally under the seabed and glaciers under high pressure and low temperature conditions. So methane hydrate is also a potential source of natural gas. Also carbon hydrate is actually beneficial. It also raises the possibility of carbon sequestration, that is storing carbon dioxide as hydrates. So this will be environmentally favorable too. So this is regarding this development by IIT Madras scientists. So here what is explained is what is gas hydrate, the types of gas hydrates. So here this is the detail you can see. So deep ocean has this methane hydrates here. Also drilling rigs here have methane hydrates, etc. Also below the glaciers as such. Then this is the location of hydrates across the globe. the continents. Gas hydrates volume is quite high compared to the volume of natural gas, oil and coal, the commercially exploitable reserves which we have, fossil fuel reserves. And this is carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration, the term basically means removal and storage of carbon from the atmosphere into carbon sinks through any physical or biological process. So even evaporation which takes place. So transpiration which takes place, taking in carbon dioxide by the plants and evaporation and photosynthesis. So that is also carbon sequestration. It's taking in carbon dioxide. So that is terrestrial sequestration which takes place. So these are the news items. Thank you.